maybe on this one we might find some agreement. Konstantin, this once again, this issue of trans athletes competing in women's sport has reared a very ugly head in terms of what happened in Illinois in a cycling competition, a women's cycling race, where the gold and silver medals were won by two biological males identifying as trans women. Now, this is the latest in a long series of these farcical results in women's sport, which are clearly eroding the fairness and equality and integrity of women's sport. And my question is simply, why are we still allowing this to happen? Why are official sports bodies not just banning it completely when there's such an obvious disadvantage to women born with female biological bodies? But secondly, why aren't more women standing up? Is it because the ones who do get crucified at the altar of trans activism?
Well, I hear Eva tutting next to me, so I'm fearful of what I'm about to say. But look, first of all, on the trans women in women's sports thing, we're all looking for the next I don't know what to say. I mean, it is so obvious. We have had Richard Dawkins on Triggernometry, Sharron Davies, the former British Olympic swimmer, detailing bit by bit by bit every way in which men have a physical advantage over women when it comes to physical competition. And by the way, you don't need to be a scientist. You just need to have a brain, look around to know that there is a physical difference between men and women. As for why more women don't stand up, look, first of all, I think we should acknowledge there are many, many very courageous women who have spoken out about this, and I just mentioned Sharron Davies, but I could give you a list as long as my arm. But I do actually agree with you.
Riley
And I'm
Gaines,
not...
J.K. Rowling.
Yes, of course. I generally don't buy into the sort of allegations that men and women are treated differently in lots of different fields. But I do think actually on this issue, it is true. Women, I think, are perceived as being slightly more vulnerable. And the very hateful, bigoted trans activists that go after people, especially online, they do seem to target the women more. So I think it's actually on the men and the women in this case, but particularly on the men to stand up and lead in saying this is completely ridiculous and it needs to end.
Okay, Ava, my question for you. When was the last time a trans man competed against biological men and beat them?
I just don't think that we would have that level of introspection. It's probably that journalists aren't trying to hunt out that story because they don't think it's going to make headline news. Look,
No,
at the moment...
No, Ava, it hasn't happened. That's why no one's written about it.
Okay, look, at the moment...
No one writes about
currently,
trans men winning against men because they don't beat them.
Piers, at the moment, we are currently, we're currently witnessing the trial of Brianna Gay, who was, a young trans girl who, sadly lost her life. And, we'll have to see what comes out of the court. I can't say too much more on it. But also, a colleague of mine just returned from a young trans boy who'd taken his own life. The way that we are treating trans people in this country is disgusting. There is such a small proportion of them, and I don't understand why we won't leave them alone.
Ava, yeah, but one of the reasons why trans people are getting a hard time is because of this ridiculous defence of the indefensible over the issue of trans athletes in women's sport. It makes an absolute mockery of all trans people. I know trans people who wish this would all just go away, that trans people would stop trying to fight at this ridiculous altar of unfairness and battle for their own fairness and equality.
Because I think
yes, they are.
No,
yes,
I think what they're fighting for is just to be recognised and just to be left alone. It doesn't need to be this headline, media, speculation, insanity all the time. If perhaps the media showed some care for them every other day of the year, then maybe we could have a sensible conversation about sport. Maybe I could, start talking to you normally about perhaps what is going on, with the cycling. But frankly, I don't really care when I know that trans people are taking their own lives every single day.
What about the women who are competing in these sports and who are not getting an opportunity to compete fairly?
We've run out of
Surely
time, guys. Konstantin, I've loved having you back. Please come back again soon. Ava, always good to have you. We'll agree to disagree.